Peace, family. Welcome to MaatSpeaks, and welcome to another Wellness Fridays. I'm happy that you have joined me here today as we continue to dive deeper into restoring health in our communities holistically.
Mm.
So, before we begin, I do want to just let you know that if you are new to this channel, or you just need to remember here on this channel, we aim to bring Ma'at and learn how to maintain and uphold and build a code of culture through the principles of Ma'at. And if you need a refresher on those principles, you can go to the playlist on Ma'at Wednesdays, where we dive deeper into the principles of Ma'at. So as you enter, make sure you hit the like button, share this another very important conversation, and make sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't. Thank you for all of the recent subscribers. I do appreciate you. And just share this as we continue to grow and build. So, again, I have here with me Dr. Tammye as we continue to discuss holistic health in our community. So, again, welcome, Dr. Tammye Matthews.
Thank you, Maya. It's a blessing to be here. Appreciate that.
Thank you so much. So, we are going to get started here. And as you know, you can donate to the channel in a few ways. You can hit the Cash App, Venmo, MaatSpeaks. You can also send donations to Gen Health Revolution. You can also visit my website, generationalhealthrevolution.com. There's a detox there. There's a detox journal on the site as well. If you want to have help in the 10-day transformational detox as well. Also, don't forget to follow Dr. Tammye Matthews on Instagram. Her Instagram is Restored by Tammye. Great Instagram content. She's always posting. So go ahead and follow her there. And then also, you can head over to her website, Restored by Tammye as well. And is there anything that you want to add on that?
No, that's
No,
it.
okay. Okay. So we're going to jump into the topic. Remember, as I always say before every conversation, be open to the things that we talk about today, because we know that we have been given something, we have been given a filter. So we just want to make sure that we continue to elevate ourselves and to understand. I think about when I think about talking about health, I think about how we need to pair the science with the spirituality and not just have them on opposing sides. So we're going to dive into this conversation, um, and disclaimer, please consult your physician for personalized medical advice. Always seek the advice of a physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions regarding a medical condition. So, this is just based on research, it's based on uh, studies that we have done, research we have done, and even our personal testimonies as well. So, but also you can always follow up with your own personal physician. Okay, so let's dive into this conversation. So let's see. Oh, I do want to shout out people who are in the chat already.
Yes.
Inya, peace. As always, thank you for being here.
Mhm.
And just do it. Thank you, love, for always being here as well.
Mhm.
And okay, so we're gonna jump right into the conversation. All right, so today's show, we are talking, it's the title is Do We Really Need to Eat to Live?
Mhm.
So, Dr. Tammye, do we need to eat to live?
Yes, numbers don't lie. We do. There's plenty of clinical information and numbers out there to support that we need to learn how to eat to live, or relearn how to eat to live.
How to relearn. Yes,
Relearn.
thank you.
Yes.
And so I remember when I was younger, and I think most of us probably learned this. We were told in elementary school that if we didn't eat or drink water for 3 days, then you would die. Like, I mean, I think most of us grew up thinking that. But we do know now that that is not the
Absolutely. Or
actual
if you miss a meal, Maya, if you
miss a meal.
miss a meal, you're gonna die.
Right. So we have this kind of concept that we need to constantly be fueling our body, constantly be putting food in our bodies. And so let's discuss the traditional ways of eating and how they have affected our health in today's society over the years. So, one thing that we always have heard is breakfast is the most important meal of the day. So, what do you think about that quote? Breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
Yes. So I think it feeds into society's plan
Mhm.
for us, at least here in the US, to be sick.
Mm,
Breakfast means, as you already know, to break the fast.
right.
And I believe that what we've been conditioned as breakfast foods to break the fast has been distorted greatly.
Mhm. Mhm.
Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And, at 6, 7 a.m., eating pancakes and heavy foods.
Right.
No, it's not. The body is still cleansing itself, but that's what we have been trained to believe. And based on our ancestors and, what they've gone through, that may have been for them based on the type of work that they used to do
Mm,
in the fields.
right.
But it's not good for our bodies overall. So I don't subscribe to that.
Yes. So, and that's a good what you said, the pancakes, the heavy pancake syrup, they're literally pushing donuts. They're literally pushing dessert for breakfast.
Mhm.
So, if breakfast is
Sugar.
the most
Mhm.
sugar, pushing sugar. So, if breakfast is the most important meal of the day,
Mhm.
so then they should actually be pushing things that are going to help you detox the body, or just things that are more health conscious, as opposed to breakfast sandwiches, pancakes, and even cereals.
Yeah. Yep.
So we
Mhm.
know that this is big business.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I was looking at something, and it was saying that the breakfast cereal market in the United States is estimated at 11.1 billion, and that was in the year 2020. So that just gives you kind of a snapshot
Mhm.
and what is important. What's important is not the health, but actually the money.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I'm gonna show let's see. I'm going to show kind of this concept and where it comes from and this video. So I'm going to show a quick video here. Let's see. All right, so let's check this out, y'all.
Cheerios breakfast gives you the power protein.
How do I stay so slim? I watch what I eat, like post grape nuts for breakfast.
Data shows women who eat breakfast tend to weigh less than those who don't.
The problem with a lot of these claims is they're not exactly true. But the idea of breakfast being good for health, especially weight loss, has persisted for over a century. So where does this myth come from? And what does this guy have to do with it?
For children, there's pretty strong evidence that breakfast is a good idea.
That's Julia Belouz, who reports on health for Vox.
As an adult, one of the most common claims we hear about breakfast is that it really promotes weight loss.
And that idea didn't come out of nowhere. There's a whole body of research that connects breakfast with weight loss. But the methods behind a lot of those studies don't always hold up. Like this one that found an association between eating breakfast and having a low body mass index. That might be true, but studies like this aren't actually testing what would happen if you were to change your breakfast behavior.
The problem with those studies is that breakfast skippers and breakfast eaters are different people. So maybe the breakfast eaters earn more money and exercise more, and that explains why they weigh less than the breakfast skippers.
Most of these studies also don't take into account a major factor: what we eat for breakfast. There's likely a big difference between eating a bowl of Fruity Pebbles or a bowl of steel-cut oats. There was even a study of studies that tried to answer the question, does our best research on breakfast prove that it helps with weight loss?
Researchers looked at 13 randomized control trials, the highest quality of evidence on breakfast and its effect on weight loss.
When researchers looked at the studies, they found there's no evidence to support the notion that eating breakfast helps you lose weight.
And they found that breakfast might even have the opposite of the desired effect. In some studies, people actually gained a little bit of weight when they started to eat breakfast.
So if the available science doesn't actually support this idea, why do we still believe eating breakfast is a healthier way to live? Well, it has a lot to do with these guys. Before they got into cereal, Dr. John Harvey Kellogg and his brother, Will Keith Kellogg, ran a family business, the Battle Creek Sanitarium. It was a wellness center, a place where the wealthy could go for what they called biologic living. It included things like salt glow baths, light treatments, and strange-looking exercise machines. It was there in 1898 that John Harvey came up with cornflakes as a way to curb indigestion. But he was also an extremely religious doctor who believed masturbation was a carnal sin, and he prescribed a bland diet, including cornflakes, as part of the cure. In 1906, John Harvey's brother, Will Keith, took cornflakes and mass-marketed them to the world. By 1917, Good Health, a magazine edited by John Harvey Kellogg, wrote, "In many ways, the breakfast is the most important meal of the day." With claims like this, cereal makers solidified the idea of a healthy breakfast.
It repairs and it sustains all body tissue.
It's part of your good breakfast.
And today, a lot of the science cited in cereal commercials has a similar source.
Part of a good breakfast.
Take a look at the small print on these studies. This one concludes breakfast skipping is not good for managing weight. It's funded by the Kellogg Company.
Okay. So, as we can see, that a lot of these, and when you see a lot of studies, you have to really look at who's doing the studies. So, this whole idea of breakfast being the most important meal of the day is coming from people who want you to buy their product.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, and we see this in a lot of different industries. You see that in the you've seen it in the egg industry. You've seen it with the dairy industry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, lots of different industries. I'm gonna go to the comments here. So she says, "I must ask what's in the cup. I'm drinking hibiscus with some fennel and fenugreek in it."
Yum.
Yes, the sad diet: pancakes, eggs, steak, chicken. I feel the heart palpitations just thinking about it. Yes.
Yes.
Thick is a big business. Yes. The propaganda is real. Yes.
Yeah.
and the cereals are a spell. I used to think if I ate Cheerios and Wheaties, I would be slim, but I kept getting bigger. I'm
Mhm.
like, what's the problem? Yes, that is something. I remember even trying to do like the Circle K diet at one point,
Mhm.
and also these things, not even understanding they're putting things in there, and end up craving the things that you don't even that you're trying to stay away from, because the things that they're putting in there is making you crave.
The
um,
sugar.
right, it's making you crave the sugar. And it's funny because they tried to market it with putting vitamins in the cereals, like fortified with all these vitamins. and, and so it's like makes you want um to eat, trying to get you to eat it. And that's the same thing that they do with milk, right? Like they they say they fortify it with calcium and all this, and and trying to get you to,
White flour, same thing.
right,
Fortified.
right. um Now, sadly, a lot of us grew up on the gray box of cornflakes and King Vitamin. When you live in poverty, those cereals would last at least a month. Yeah, and that's true. A lot of those things were being pushed, and I would say that sometimes, you do make the best of what you do have. What came along from the cereal industry is all of these other cereals that then became even more problematic.
Yeah.
So you had the basic cornflakes, but then they started saying, oh, well, people gonna get tired of full cornflakes. So let's do frosted flakes. Let's do Lucky Charms. Let's do the what was the pebbles, fruity pebbles. You start, so now you go down an aisle of cereal, and now like
With
cereal,
more sugar and dyes added.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Studies are problematic, exactly.
Mhm.
So yeah, so it's very much an issue. And even when we start looking at just dairy, because dairy is pushed as far as milk. And you saw in like especially in the 90s,
Mhm.
on TV, they'd be eating dinner and then they would have like a glass of milk. You'd be like, why are they drinking milk with
Yes.
sugar? So it was a part of that propaganda pushing it into our minds. And so dairy, that is an impact. They said that's an economic impact of $628 billion in the United States.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Remember that ad with all the famous people, milk does it body, oh got milk. Got,
got milk. Yes.
it would have all the stars with the white on the, yeah.
Yeah, I talked about that of let me see if I still have that. Oh no, I don't have that in here. But yeah, I talked about that. I showed like the different milk mustaches, and then they would have like they had all the different celebrities and things like that. Yeah, I talked about that probably a month ago.
Yes.
That was a part, because the whole concept of if a celebrity is doing it, then, and I mean, some of those quotes that they would have in there were crazy. Like, if you want to be sexy or fine like Naomi Campbell, it would be
Yeah.
crazy,
Yeah.
crazy things that they would.
I heard that was pulled. I don't know if that's true or not, but I heard it was pulled for some reason. That
Um,
particular campaign
okay.
for some reason. That's what I heard. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
False claims probably, but
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
can see that. Or I guess I should say these industry funded studies. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
I remember in the supermarket there were Fruit Loops mixed with marshmallows. I'm like, really? No wonder children suffer from ADHD. Yeah. I mean, look at the Lucky Charm. I mean, Frosted Flakes. Like Frosted Flakes is pure sugar. Like, I don't know if you remember. And see, when I ate cereal when I was younger, I didn't do milk because I didn't like milk.
Oh,
And so you could, when you got to the bottom, or the bottom of the box or the bottom of the bowl, the sugar was just like sitting there
sitting
at
there.
the
Sure was.
bottom of the bowl. So, like a lot of these things were just pure.
And that used to be my favorite part because at the end, it's just milk and sugar.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh my
It's milk and orange juice. We had water.
goodness.
Uh,
Yeah.
Peace, Tiara, baby. Thanks for coming through. Okay, so yeah, I was gonna show something about dairy, but I don't know if I'm gonna show that right now. So we're gonna just keep going. Um, so I want to go into more of these different concepts of how we have been told to eat. So another concept is eating 3 meals a day or eating every 2 to 3 hours. So I think in my 20s, when I was like trying to lose weight, I was doing the 2 to 3 hours thing.
Uh-huh.
So, they say eat every 2 to 3 hours because that is supposedly supposed to speed up your metabolism.
Yep.
Right. So does that speed up your metabolism?
If you are, working out and your body's efficient and you're putting in clean food and I mean your body's actually burning it, then I would say that the body doesn't have to look for more gas because you're putting gas in, but it's with the understanding that you're using the gas as well. You got
Right.
to use the gas for the metabolism to kick in. So
Yes, that's
yeah,
that's important.
you're not using the food. It's like, sorry, the metabolism, whatever metabolism you have, that's what you're gonna keep.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yep. And that was something that most of it, because they say like with bodybuilders, they say bodybuilders they eat about every 2 to 3 hours, even when they go to sleep. So when they wake up in the middle of the night to eat because they're trying to gain that muscle, trying to build, you know
Mhm.
build up and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it's
Yeah, their body metabolizes the food fast
uh-huh.
because, and that's the idea, is because they do utilize a lot of fuel and then they have, large muscles. And in some cases, they're using some artificial products. I mean,
Right, that's true.
products as well that's not natural. But the idea is that the metabolism has been established based on how efficient the body is through exercise.
Mm-hmm.
And with bodybuilders, I know with fitness models, they're very specific and they eat very lean type food. So they're not eating pizzas and I don't know about weightlifters, but I know those who are fitness models, they're eating very small amounts of food so that
Right.
the body is utilizing it efficiently. So
Ah,
yeah, I don't know.
right. And that's what I was kind of doing. It worked. I would eat like a handful of almonds.
I,
Um, yeah, like I would, or eat a piece of fruit. Um, you know,
every two to
yeah,
three
yeah, two
hours.
to 3 hours. But who wants to eat like that all day? So
Yeah.
so yeah, that it does. And so but it's very important that that is understood because if you're not using it up as energy. So
Mhm.
when you eat, your body uses some of the calories you consume for energy. The rest is stored as fat. So
Mhm.
consuming more calories than you burn may cause you to become overweight or obese. So, and this increases your risk for all kinds of different diseases and stuff like that, or chronic health problems.
Yes.
So that is a lot of the things that we have been accustomed to eating. Like they tell us these things, or just eating all day long. But they'll tell you to like do caloric restriction if you're trying to lose weight.
Mhm.
So a lot of these different things that we have been accustomed. Are there anything I'm leaving out? What are some other? Are there any other things that we have been told to do um, over the years? I'm trying to think if there was anything else. Um,
Um, Gosh, there's been so many. Just trying to think. Gosh, I know there are a lot. I just can't think of them right now, though. But
Okay.
we've
Yeah,
been
those are the main ones, like eating 3 times a day, or eating 2 to 3 hours.
yeah, having a snack in between meals, like you
Hmm.
said. Um, yeah, those are the major ones.
Yeah. And Enya said, I believe that for years regarding metabolism, but it didn't help working in a bank. I sat down for most of the day, then sat down on the train, then sat down on the couch. Yeah. And I think that's something that they did leave out, especially with the 2 to 3 hours a day, or eating every 2 to 3 hours, is that you have to use that energy.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time they weren't telling they weren't telling you to say just eat every 2 to 3 hours, but they weren't telling you how often to work out. They weren't
Mm-hmm.
telling you need to use that energy up. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's very important. I think if you have an active lifestyle, then that's something you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And I believe the idea was to, in some cases, was to prevent people from holding out and having their biggest meal in the evening,
mhm.
because people would be busy, and so they'll go all day without eating, and then dinner time they will overeat. They've overworked the
Yeah.
pancreas, and insulin's in the body, and then they go to bed, and so that then adds to the rise of diabetes and some other autoimmune deficiency diseases. So I believe that's probably why a study had come out to encourage people to like eat throughout so they would not overeat in the evenings, but that didn't work.
Yeah. That's very true. And that's very true. I'm glad you made that point.
Mhm.
Because that was the whole idea of breakfast. If you eat a substantial breakfast, then it won't cause you to overeat
Oh
throughout.
yeah, eat like a king for breakfast, like
Yeah,
a queen, like a what was it? A princess for lunch, and then a something,
peasant, a
a peasant
peasant
for
for
dinner.
dinner. Yeah, and that's something that even because I know Dr. Africa talks about eating your biggest meal for lunch,
Mm-hmm.
or like in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And ideally that is how you should eat. You should eat like your biggest meal in the afternoon, because when you do, late, before you rest at night, you don't want to have all of that food um
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
help me out.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. That is, and that's something that I do. And what I find is now my body has like 9 or 10 hours to actually metabolize the food, to actually digest it and utilize it as fuel. So, because it takes about 3 and sometimes 4 hours to even digest food.
Right.
So the idea is to not overwork the organs, but have that bigger meal at 1 o'clock. You have time to burn it, and then in the evening, if you start getting hungry, have something like a snack or something light. Have a piece of fruit, things
Mhm.
like that, because the body heals by resting. So
Right.
that allows the organs to then be able to kind of detox while you're sleeping and rest and relax. It's like cutting the computer off for a little bit where it can kind of chill and restore itself before then you get started back up the next day. So that's really kind of the idea. But
Mhm.
if you eat at 5, 6, 7 o'clock and you go to bed at 8, 9, 10 o'clock, then the body can't rest because it's still trying to digest and get food throughout the system. And then,
Mhm.
of course, what you mentioned, Mayat, as far as then storing the excess food that has not been utilized as energy.
Mm. And
Yeah.
I still have that issue because I still want to eat like after I work out. and so
Yes.
and so sometimes I do have an issue with eating probably too later than I should.
Mhm.
So I am working
Mhm.
on that.
Mhm. And that's what I think, and I know we'll talk about it, but that's what fasting does. It
Mhm.
helps us to reset. Like,
Yeah.
instead of us allowing our bodies to dictate what it wants, it's like we're saying, no, this is This is the system that we're going to put it on. This is the process. And then body, now you need to follow that.
Right. Right. Yes, and that definitely I know that helps me.
Yeah.
I want to peace Andy for coming through. Thank you for coming through. I saw Andy come through and then Snuggles. Peace Snuggles. Glad to see you here.
Oh, cute.
Oh, she said, what about chocolate covered almonds? Chocolate is healthy too, right? Dark chocolate. I eat dark chocolate. That's the only chocolate I eat. It's dark
Yeah.
chocolate.
The thing about nuts is that they're fats.
Yeah.
So really, honestly, when we have nuts, especially if you're trying to lose weight, you really
Mhm.
should have it with like a salad or with some type of
Yeah.
mix, like a trail mix or something like that, because it's strictly fat.
Mhm.
And so it will satisfy you, but in a lot of cases we overeat them.
Mhm.
Really, it's just it's fat. Now you adding the chocolate on top of it.
Right. So when I do I don't do almonds. I really don't eat almonds. But I do like walnuts, pecans, pistachios. And with walnuts, we'll make walnut meat and put it in the salad,
Yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah.
Um I don't really like walnuts. That's really why I do it, because I don't like the taste of walnuts that
I'm the
much.
same way. Yeah, I'm the same way. Mhm,
Yeah, so that's how I get my walnuts in.
mhm.
Um and the only, so that's kind of what I do. Like sometimes I will go and get a handful of pistachios or something like that. But
Yeah, just to kind of keep the energy level up. And
yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's no perfect, everybody's body is different.
Mhm.
I buy, and I don't do it all the time because I could easily just like get in the rhythm of eating too many, but
Mhm.
making sure they're raw nuts because then you know
Yeah.
you're getting nutrition. When they are roasted and then when they add the salt to them and all
Yeah.
that, yeah, you're not getting the maximum amount of nutrition.
Right. And there's a study, and I put this in one of my videos, but that the whole when you do you're not supposed to cook things that are high in fat like that. So
Exactly.
roasting nuts and cooking, and that's why meat, like just cooking meats is bad because
Uh-huh.
it's high in fat.
Uh-huh.
So and then like when you cook your tofu and stuff like that, so all of those things that are high in fat, you're actually not supposed to cook like that in roast. So actually roasted
Mhm.
nuts are bad anyway, so you're
Mhm.
really, you're really not supposed to be
Does
eating.
nothing for you.
uh, right. um and let's see. So between the hours of maybe 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Yeah, so Inya, we're gonna get to that in just a moment. Yeah, we're gonna get to that.
Mhm.
Um, did you get a message regarding? Oh, I don't know what they're talking about.
Oh,
Like what?
okay.
Those grilling Lipton responses, yes.
Yes, the hormones,
Uh,
hormones. Yes.
yes. So when we get into the fasting concept, we're gonna talk about that, which we're about to get into actually probably right now. um because when it comes to what we've been told is vastly different than what actually is needed for our bodies. So when we talk about eat the way that we've been accustomed to eating, what we've been told, eat 3 times, the normal thing that we've always heard is eat 3 meals a day and
Mhm.
then have the snacks in between.
Yes.
And so that's kind of an all day event then. Like you're always constantly eating. And
Mhm.
so if you're doing that every single day for the rest of your life, and most of us are adding meat in there, right? So we're eating meat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Mhm.
And then in between, we're eating probably unhealthy snacks. I just think about what I used to do.
Yes, exactly.
Sugary snacks, things like that.
Mhm.
Maybe eating throwing some fast food in there, all that different kind of stuff. What
Absolutely.
you're doing is not only are you overworking your digestive system, but then you're also overworking specific organs that are meant to help you. And so we're going to get into especially the liver, because as a person who fasts regularly, I realize how important the liver is and how it is actually being ignored by a lot of people. Like, people ignore the liver, but it's such an important organ that we need to really take note of. So let's get
detox organ.
right. It detoxes. Um, so let's get into the different types of fasting, because when I ask the question, do we really need to eat to live? The thing is can we go 3 days, 5 days, 40 days, 100 days without eating, or even drinking water, but most importantly without eating, and still live and thrive? So we have types of fasting. We have dry fasting, we have water fasting, and then we have intermittent fasting. And I have done all of these different fasts. So dry fasting is when you have no food and no water. Now, the longest I've done dry fasting is 5 days. That's just what I wanted to do for myself. But I know that there was a guy who actually said he cured his cancer with dry fasting, and he did it for like 90 days. So that is not something I'm suggesting. I'm just telling you, I'm just giving you the information. Then you have water fasting. Water fasting is just what it is. You're just drinking water. And usually this is done 24 to 72 hours. Now, obviously, people do it more. There's people who do it 7 days, 10 days, 40 days, 90 days. I know, Dr. Tammye, what's the longest you've gone water
21 days water.
21 days. Okay. And then intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is what I love intermittent fasting. This is a part of my lifestyle. I started with 16-8. So I started with 16 hours fasting and then 8 hours eating. I'm doing something different now, but that's what I started with. And that's what helps me lose my when I was really like really, I hate to say, because like all my years of fasting and things like that have brought me to it. But when I was really like consciously intermittent fasting for 16 hours, that's what helped me lose like 30 pounds, like really, really quickly. And so, but I also did every week, I did 36 hours of water fasting once a week as well.
Okay.
So that was kind of my system. I would fast for 36 hours on Monday, like Sunday night till Tuesday, and then I would do 16 hours of fasting every other day.
Oh,
Every
nice.
day of the week.
Okay.
So that was kind of my system a couple years ago. And that changed. So then I ended up going to 18-6, and then I ended up going to 24. And now what I'm currently doing is alternate day fasting. So I'll talk about that later. But I just wanted to touch on the types of fasting that that there is, in the kind of the importance. So dry fasting, as it says here, it can teach you self-discipline, sacrifice, and self-control. So I know when I was dry fasting, it took, I think it was the first couple days. It takes some mental, but I did find that dry fasting was a little bit easier for me at that time than water fasting was. And I think it's because water, it does still kind of ignite a little bit of your digestive juices or whatever. And so sometimes it still makes you want to eat. But when you're dry fasting, you're just like saying, forget everything. I'm not even thinking about putting nothing in my mouth. And so it kind of helped me not even think about it. So it was a little bit easier for me to dry fast than it was to water fast. But water fast allows the body to take a break from digestion. And some other things happen while you're water fasting that we'll talk about. And then intermittent fasting, it optimizes your numerous fat loss related hormones. So those are things that we'll get into as well, as far as the different types of fasting. So first thing that I want to talk about when it comes to fasting is how fasting seems to have a big impact on insulin, which is a big deal for those that have diabetes. So I
Mhm.
kind of want to talk about this and how insulin works. So are you able to like discuss how insulin works for just like regular body, like just a normal body that's functioning well? How does
Yeah. So you hear a lot about the pancreas, and the insulin is often ignited, of course, as a result of us eating. And it's that hormone that's necessary to help to get the food to then be broken down so it can then go throughout the body, throughout the system, and all of that. And what happens is when our beta cells, well, basically the beta cells is what secretes the insulin in the body. When we are consuming too much food, the beta cells after a while start to wear out because it's
Mhm.
like every time we turn around, we need to have insulin necessary for the food. Again, the food that's being digested to be able to go throughout the rest of the organs, to be able to break down the food, I should say, so that it can. So when the beta cells start becoming worn out, then the pancreas can barely secrete insulin because now it's like overworked, overworked, overworked. And that's then why people have to start taking sometimes pills or getting insulin shots in
Mhm.
order to help the body to be able to break down the food.
Mhm.
So, yeah, insulin is an important hormone of the body. Every time we eat, it's ignited into the blood. And
Mhm.
once it's in the blood, then the body does not tap into any type of stored fat or stored food because it's like, oh, we good. We can just sit here and be nestled all in the fat cells and chill because that person just ate again. So they have enough gas in the tank that they don't have to go into their reserves. So
Right.
this is an important hormone that really kind of regulates the body overall and the organs overall after you eat.
Right. So
Mm-hmm.
that insulin it goes basically it goes up whenever you're eating.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's released into the blood, correct?
Bloodstream, the bloodstream. Mm-hmm.
Bloodstream, and then that goes which kind of ignites the glucose in the liver. Is
There you go.
that yeah,
Yep.
okay. I was
Mm-hmm.
just trying to make sure. I was trying to make sure, I'm not a doctor or anything. But
Absolutely.
I have studied this because once I started fasting, that's what fasting helps this process
Yes.
so very well. It's
Yes.
amazing. So there's something that happens, insulin resistance, which happens in people who are diabetic. But I think it's very important that people understand too that understanding insulin and its effects,
Mm-hmm.
even if you're just trying to lose weight, um,
Mm-hmm.
is very important. So a lot of times we hear insulin, we think diabetic,
Mm-hmm.
but it's very important that we even understand that for people who are also just trying to have a healthy lifestyle, who's trying to lose weight,
Absolutely.
what happens, um, what fasting actually does when you're doing that. So insulin resistance
Mm-hmm.
is when there's too much insulin, and then that affects the liver.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
how does
Absolutely.
fasting reduce insulin resistance?
So the pancreas or the beta cells have just it's just overproduction.
Mhm.
It's just like, oh, food's coming and there's a signal to the pancreas, hey, produce insulin.
Mhm.
And when you make the decision that you are going to fast, you're saying, I am not going to put any food in my body, and I am going to allow my pancreas cells to regenerate, those beta cells to regenerate, to rest, giving my digestive system a break, giving my liver a break, my organs overall, because now it's not hustling trying
Mhm.
to get this food put into all different areas and break it down and detox, and you're not activating all of the major organs that have to do with digestion. And even with the heart doesn't have to work as hard, doesn't have to
Mhm. That's the point. Yeah.
as much blood, because the blood vessels are able to relax, because you don't have all the sodium and the sugar and the foods that affect the blood vessels. So literally fasting gives your internal organs a break and
Mhm.
allow the cells to regenerate into healthy cells to rest.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yes, that's great information. And I'm gonna dig a little deeper there. I'm gonna address some of the comments here. She said, I did water fasting once in my life, and after 3 days, my throat burned so bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I feel like that with dry fasting. I tried it as a result of Ramadan a couple of years ago, and I said, I don't ever want to do a fast without water. So how you feel with water fasting, that's how I feel with dry fasting. I was like, I just felt crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it.
So
And I think it's important too. There was a guy that I was watching, and he was talking about 72-hour water fast, rolling fast, which
mhm,
that's a whole different conversation. But he was saying to prepare your body. So you have to prepare your body for fasting. So
absolutely.
that's very important to understand too. In even in the detox the detox that I have, I talk about preparing your body for a detox. You don't just go into it.
Yeah, yeah,
Some people can, they can be
yeah,
they can go into fasting, but you really should prepare your body.
yeah,
And that might mean eating more hydrating foods,
mhm,
um, foods that have high water content
mhm,
before you start actually fasting as well.
mhm,
And that will help. And then there's ways to make your water more hydrating, because
mhm,
just drinking plain water doesn't always mean that it's hydrating you.
it's true.
You might need to add like lime in there,
Mhm,
lemon in there, which does not break your fast and stuff like that to make it more
mhm,
hydrating. So that could have been just because your water was not actually hydrating you.
mhm,
That might been a reason why that your throat actually was burning.
mhm. Or if you weren't getting enough water. Um,
Right.
I do similar to you, Mayat. I teach people how to do juice or raw fast.
Mhm.
I take them through a course of different fasts before I coach them through a water fast.
Right.
Mainly because I want to make sure their immune systems are strong, and it just that practice, that self discipline,
Mhm.
to that place where you can do a juice fast. Then the water fast comes like naturally because your body is saturated with nutrients. So
Mhm.
if there are any type of deficiencies and things like that that could prevent you from being able to complete a water fast,
Right.
that's eradicated as a result of you just flooding your body with nutrients before then sliding into a water fast. And then once you've done like a raw fast, or you fast several times, then when you're ready to do a water fast, your immune system is strong. Your body is ready because it's recognized that you fasted before, especially when you can do a dry
Mhm.
fast like that.
Right.
The body's prepared for
Mhm.
fast.
Mhm. And it's so funny because you'll be amazed at how much energy that you have when you're doing these fasts,
Oh,
especially when you have properly gotten ready for the fast. And
mm-hmm,
then you're like, whoa, like I'm powering through my workouts. I have all
mm-hmm,
of this energy. So
mm-hmm,
yeah, that's very important that you actually prepare your body for fasting, and then you just don't do it cold turkey. I
mm-hmm.
think about fasting like I would prepare for like an athletic competition or something. Like you don't just go and say I'm about to go run a whole 5K. You're
Yeah,
gonna prepare your body for it.
exactly.
So that's something I think, because it sounds easy, we just jump into things. And this is not to you, Inya, it's just like just to know, because me personally, I've done these things where I'm like, I'm just gonna jump into trying to do a 40-day fast,
Yeah.
And then your body's like, hold up, nope.
Hold on. And then I have the opposite too, where they're literally, and I don't know what this is, just do it, but the men are fearful of fasting.
Oh my, yeah, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I, so you have to kind of hold their hand and say, it's okay, you can fast. Because in their minds, they think it's just about weight loss.
Yep.
Like, no, it's about removing waste,
Mm-hmm.
toxins. If
Mm-hmm.
you have weight to lose, that will come off, but that's not the primary focus of it. That's just one of the benefits for those who are carrying excessive weight.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up, because the more unhealthy or imbalanced that your body is, the more of that's going to come off. So
Yes.
because I'm kind of closer to my optimum weight, is not coming off as fast that when I was further away from it.
Exactly.
So that's why people who are like really overweight, like 300, 400 pounds, they end up losing it a lot faster when they start balancing their body. They're like losing like 10 pounds
Yes.
first week.
First week. Absolutely.
And
absolutely. Yeah, because the body holds water.
Mm-hmm.
The larger you are, the tissues of the body is holding all this excess water. So the larger you are, the more water you're capable of carrying. So then when you eliminate sodium and sugar and those products and byproducts that cause the body to hold water in the first place, it's like I've seen 10, 12 pounds. The top detox loser from my company was a male, and he lost 29 pounds in 21 days because he was over 300 pounds. So a lot of that first few, that was just water.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's and I'm so glad you brought that. That's important, like with men, because I do. I'm glad you said that. So maybe he'll want to water fast with me more now.
Yes, the men.
Yes, because he does. He always says, he's like, I'm not trying to lose weight. I'm trying to gain weight. And so, but it's also how you refuel the body too. So you can refuel the body and start, and then your body is at its optimum to refill it properly.
Yes.
So thank you.
Yeah,
So
I've taken people through detoxes 21 days that didn't have weight to lose, and they didn't really lose anything. They may have lost like a couple of pounds, but there was nothing to. It was just really about their bodies rebuilding and regenerating healthy cells. Prevention is everything.
Yes.
And we don't know if there's any blockages happening. We don't know if there's any weakening or deterioration. Blood vessels, we don't know what's happening there. So it's better to be proactive than reactive, and allowing the body to heal itself and become stronger internally. Because unfortunately, the medical devices are not able to, once you go to the doctor, they're not able to predict how close you are really to having a heart attack or a stroke, or developing some type of autoimmune deficiency diseases. The machines and the tests that doctors have really have been designed to detect when at least 30% of your health has failed. And so, as holistic practitioners, we're saying be proactive. We don't want 30% of your health to fail before something shows up, before then something can be done about it. Just be proactive. Just clean your body out once or twice a year, every change of season,
That's very important. Tracy says all the time, stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Yes.
So she asked, which one is the healthiest for a stay-at-home nursing mom? So, and yeah, I did intermittent fasting when I was nursing.
You did?
Yeah, I was still nursing. And the before picture, it's on my, I think it's on my website, but it's also in the book. I had just had my son like a few months, like he was like 8 or 9 months or something like that. He was something around that time. I was nursing him. I nursed him until he was, how was he? 15 months, 16, 18 months. He was something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I was still nursing him, and I was
Okay.
intermittent fasting. I did 16 hours of fasting and 8 hours of that was my window, 8 hours of eating. So usually I would stop eating around like 8 o'clock, and then I would eat the next day around 1 o'clock. So that was my
How did that go for you? How was that? I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it was fine. I didn't really have problems with it. I work, and I was working out like real. I was working out at home. I just worked out at home.
Wow.
He nursed on it. He decided when he wanted to nurse.
Yeah.
It was just like if he was ready to eat, I fed him.
I was gonna say because you couldn't put him on a clock.
Yeah, right. And so usually
Wow.
he was at a point where I knew about what times he was going to eat, what times he was going to sleep. So when he was sleeping, a lot of times maybe that would be my workout time and stuff like that. But
That's awesome.
yeah, I was intermittent fasting when I was nursing. It didn't change my milk supply or anything. I just made sure that I stayed hydrated and was eating the right foods during my eating window.
That's awesome.
Which is important when you're nursing, is making sure you're eating the right foods
Absolutely.
so that you can keep up your milk supply. So that's just what I did.
Because the idea is, well, what I should say, not the idea, but what we've been programmed to believe is that, well, if you're nursing, you constantly need to be putting food in your body,
right?
Because the food goes to the baby, and then mom got to make sure so that's good to know. That's good information that you still have the energy to work out. And
yeah,
then when you were nursing, while you're intermittent fasting, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. She said, she said dry fasting. She said her throat burned because I didn't have any water.
Oh yeah, and you're with you on that one. Girl, I don't want to do that again.
She said I watch I eat now because I'm scared of gaining the weight back.
Don't walk in fear, Inya.
Yeah, so I'll go, let's see. I want to go into kind of something that Dr. Tammye was talking about the cells regenerating. But one thing that I will say to that is it's about what you're eating. So what you're eating, you shouldn't be scared to eat what you're eating. I'm just gonna put it that way. If you are eating the right foods, you shouldn't be scared of it. So what I do now, I do alternate day fasting. I've been doing that for the past few weeks. I haven't even been doing it that long. But I love it because so I fast 30. It ends up being like 36 to 40 hours, 36 to 40 hours, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So my fast days are Monday, Wednesday, Friday. On the weekend, I do not alternate day fasting. I do more of a 24. So 20 hours of fasting for or whatever. Okay. But anyway, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I fast. Tuesday, Thursdays, and Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays are what they call my feast days.
Okay.
So like I said, I don't start eating until 12 o'clock. On any day, no matter what day I eat, I don't start eating until 12 o'clock.
I'm the same way.
But I don't. So some people might look at my diet as it being like really, I don't know. They're like, oh, that's all you eat. But I eat what I want, but at the same time, what I want is it's not anything crazy.
I was gonna say, yeah.
It's I eat nutritious foods. I try to make sure that I'm getting healthy fats.
Yes.
I eat a lot of green leafy vegetables. Kale is my thing. I love kale. I can eat kale every day, all day.
Yep, me too.
uh, and I don't like avocados, but I just started learning how to eat avocados. So I'm gonna put together
Ah.
a little TikTok so I can show you how I can eat avocados because I was like, ugh, I hate them, but I have put all my seasonings and
Yes.
together so I can eat avocados. So
Yes.
I'm excited because I can eat avocados now.
Yes. Ah, I love them. Can eat them right out the season of.
Yeah, everybody else in my family, everybody else here loves them, but I'm just like, ugh. I didn't even like the smell of them. I didn't even want them touching me.
Really? Really? Oh my God. Well, I know people that are either allergic to it or don't like them, so I'm not.
Yeah, yeah. But I
Mhm.
have learned how to I put a little concoction together. I call it my avocado tuna, vegan tuna, um, whatever. And I'll make a video of it in case there's other people out there who just cannot stand avocados. But yeah, that's what I do. I just try to make sure I get my healthy fats in. I always break my fast with fruit. I don't care what they say. That's how I
Yeah.
break my
Yeah,
fast. I break them with
absolutely.
fruit.
Yep.
Um,
Mhm.
and so yeah, that's what I do. So I'm not fearful of eating. I do quote unquote splurge every 10 days.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to splurge because I don't crave anything. Like I don't crave
Like, what
like
am I going to splurge with? Because the
right.
thing I used to want to, I don't want that anymore.
Right. I
I
had
want to
Tracy can tell you,
splurge.
I had the hardest time trying to figure out what I wanted to splurge on last weekend. I was like, okay, it's my splurge day. What do I eat? And I just had the hardest time. And then I finally picked something and I was just like, it was okay. I was like, I wasted my calories on this.
All right. Yep. Yes. 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 Yes.
And so, and I think that's just your body. It starts telling you what it wants, what it, does not want, and things like that. PC Black,
Mhm.
thank you for coming. Oh, wait a minute. PC Black, thank you for coming through. Glad to see you here in the chat. And so, but yeah, so and we could talk about that more as far as not being afraid to eat. When you
Yeah.
do fast regularly, one thing that will happen is when you come off your fast, because a lot of people were trying to, I think years ago, they were like against like don't fast for too long because it makes you want to binge. But what I notice is when I come off of my fast, I'm actually not hungry.
Exactly.
And so I actually have to force myself to eat. And because
Mhm.
obviously I do work out. I work
Mhm.
out pretty regularly, 5-6 days a week.
Mhm.
So I do have to fuel my body, but I do have to kind of force myself to eat. And maybe I'll do a video on what I typically eat in the like on
Mhm.
these days because it's not a lot, but it's a lot. So
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
kind it kind of depends on who you are and what you're already eating. If you're
Yeah.
already eating a bunch of stuff, you're gonna be like, "Oh, that's all you eat." But it's filling for me. Like
Yeah.
I'm full, like to the point where I'm like, I don't know if I can eat anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to Maya, I believe that those people that well, when they say talk about binging, it
Mhm.
depends on the type of fast that you're doing. If it's those people that's doing all the lemonade fasts and all those the
Mhm.
type fast, then yeah, they're probably going to be hungry because they haven't gotten enough nutrition during their fast. But
Mm,
when it's a clean fast, which is like the dry fast, the water fast,
right.
juice fast, where the body is either going total
Mhm.
totally without anything, or is getting flooded with like nutrients. You don't binge afterwards. It's very challenging. Your stomach has shrunk.
Mm,
Taste buds have changed. It's very challenging to then just go and binge. Yeah,
yes. It
because
is.
then you're gonna get sick.
Mhm. That's very true.
Mhm.
Mm. That's very true.
Yeah.
And you'll start seeing yourself gravitating to better choices.
Yes.
She said during the intermittent fasting times, you do eat. Is it only fruit or like full meals? Okay, so when so this is kind of like a short breakdown. When I when I come off of my fasting, so let's say whether it actually all the same, whether I do a 3-day fast, 10-day fast, 20-day fast, I
Mm-hmm.
usually come off of it with fruit. Now sometimes if it's a longer fast, like if I do a 30-day fast, I'm probably gonna come off of it with liquids, like
Mm-hmm.
with juices and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But for my shorter fast, I usually come off it with fruit. I'll eat like a grapefruit.
Mm-hmm.
On a really good day, if there's some seeded grapes, I'll eat some seeded grapes,
Mm-hmm.
or I'll eat like some dates. Just some really good, just any fruit that you like. That's good. But that's my go-to. My go-tos are grapefruit, dates, seeded grapes. Can't wait till next month for watermelon.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
That way. Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how I do. Usually I'm full after that because a lot of people like, oh, I don't like to eat vegan because because I don't get full. More
I,
food. Like that's what I say, eat more food.
yeah. And then I tell them, don't eat to get full. Why are you eating to get full? That's not a
Right.
good
That's
thing.
true too. I'm
Yeah,
satisfied.
I tell them
I'm
that.
full, but I'm satisfied. Like
Mm-hmm.
I can go probably, and sometimes what I'll do is I'll eat my fruit and then I'll prepare something else. Because usually if I'm preparing a big salad for
Yes.
myself, that
Yes.
takes a while. So
Yeah.
I'll eat and then I'll go prepare something. And
Yes.
I'll eat that when it's
Too.
done.
Mm-hmm. I do
So
this.
that's usually about 45 minutes into an hour before I eat again after I've eaten my fruit.
Yeah.
And then once I eat my second meal,
Yep.
after I've eaten my fruit, I might eat again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And usually I do because I work out so hard. I
Yes, yeah.
usually
Depending on
do
how active.
something else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I might eat like I don't know, I might get like a handful of nuts or something like that. Usually I put nuts on my salad, but I'll usually eat like a handful of nuts. And
Mm-hmm.
then I'll have like what's considered my dinner. And my dinner can look different ways. Sometimes I'll have like chickpea pasta or lentil pasta with some vegetables in it. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
I'll eat like a veggie sandwich or veggie wrap or whatever, just different things.
Mm-hmm.
My dinner changes all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But so that's just kind of a breakdown. I hope that helped your question. I do
Yeah.
like my feast days are my feast days. I eat from that 12 o'clock mark until the end of my day, which is like 8, 9 o'clock. I'm trying to get better not eating so late.
Mm-hmm.
But so that's kind of what I do. I hope that answers your question.
And I was gonna say to Inya, just really quickly, I do the OMAD, which is the only 1 meal a day. OMAD, 1 meal a day. So you may have heard that acronym somewhere. But for me, because I am older, I'm 52, my body just does not need that much food. Even when I am active, it doesn't matter. I just don't need that much food. So when I eat my meal, it is only 1 meal, and it's usually after like my workouts in the afternoon. So what Mayat was saying, that Dr. Africa taught us, I'll eat my heaviest meal like between like 1:30 2:30 on most days, unless I'm working. And sometimes it could be as late as 3, but 3 is late for me because a lot of times I do evening workouts, and it's not a good workout experience if my body is still digesting food at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I'm getting ready to cycle because I ate at 3.
Mhm.
And that works well. So like my eye, it's like when we're done working out, it's like, man, I kind of want something.
Yeah.
And I'll do like Granny Smith apple and some almond butter. I'll make it like feel like a dessert or something to look forward to because it's something that I like.
I'll start doing. Yeah.
Yeah, instead of a meal, because for me, I just don't need that much. The older you get, I will tell you this: the older you get, the less food you need. You just
Mhm.
don't need that. We talked about metabolisms.
Mhm.
I just don't need that much food.
Yeah.
To get
Yeah.
through the day. But
Yeah.
OMAD works really well. Also, I have a history of diabetes being in my family. So because I don't want to develop that, although I have a genetic predisposition for it, that's not my destiny. So what I do is I'm proactive in making sure that my body only really has to spike the insulin.
Mm-hmm.
Really only have to do it like once a day, and that's what that cooked meal. And I think Tracy just answered someone's question in regards to what you have up now. What is the insulin? What does it do to the sugar?
Oh, what does it do to the sugar in the blood?
Mhm. Yeah, it goes to the fat cells, like Tracy said. It goes to the fat cells, it goes to the muscle cells. And that's where it hides until you do some type of fast or you decrease your amount of eating, where then after you have, say, eaten, and then the body no longer has any insulin in the blood, it has to go somewhere for energy. Now we can go to the stored.
Mm-hmm.
It can go to the muscle cells. It can go to the fat cells to get energy. That's how we begin to lose the weight, the waste, because we're tapping into the storage bins. I like to say we're not in feast and famine like we talked about last week. We don't have to store our food. We know that we have food in the refrigerator.
Mm-hmm.
30 days before we find our next amount of food, so we do not have to store food.
Exactly. Thank you for answering that.
Mm-hmm.
She said the way you feel about avocados, I feel that about oatmeal. Oh, I love oatmeal. I used to didn't like oatmeal at one point, but I do. I love it. I love oatmeal.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Okay, E Black says stress changes my eating habits. I
Mm-hmm.
go through health kicks, then revert to my lazy self depending on my lifestyle at the time.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
because clinical studies show that stress is directly correlated, like it directly affects your taste buds. So
Mm-hmm.
that is E Black TV. That is absolutely valid. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Also, when the sympathetic nervous system has to kick in, your body is going into a whole different mode than because it believes that it's getting ready to have like a fight, like war, like
Mm-hmm.
danger. So it's going to call for different things than when your body is relaxed and your parasympathetic nervous system is activated. So the goal is to be able to minimize the stress in your life, to have the tools in order to manage it, your stress and your emotions, so that your parasympathetic nervous system is always being activated versus your sympathetic. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's very valid.
Mm. Yeah. Um, that I had to realize that food addiction is a real thing. This is a hard thing for me to fast. My husband supports me through it though. Yeah, fasting, even now that, I've been fasting for years, I won't necessarily say that it's easy. I guess it's easier, but I still have times like there are times because eating is kind of it's a really big part of our
Mhm.
culture, and it's a very
Absolutely.
big social thing that we do. So even when I'm at home and I'm just like, me and my husband are about to watch a movie or something, I
Mhm.
have something that goes off in me and wants to eat, and it's my fasting day, and I'm like, oh, I can't eat anything.
Mhm.
So, I have a lot of triggers in my life, or just like my girls, thankfully, they do some of the cooking.
Oh, that's good.
And, but I'm sitting there, I'm like, ooh, smells good.
I know.
Like,
Triggers.
triggers, or if I do have stressful moments or things are kind of stirring up within me, I do have those triggers. So fasting is not necessarily easy. It's just more of a conscious thing that you're doing. It's something that you kind of put in your frontal lobe, like, this is what I'm doing for myself and for my body, for these reasons that we're discussing today. But it gets easier. I think it was, I'm not sure who said in the chat, but the ghrelin and leptin hormones in your body. And so I noticed that, because when your stomach is growling, that's a hormone that is telling you like to eat. It's like telling you to eat because of things like, oh, you've gone too long without food. I
Because that we programmed.
Yeah.
We programmed that.
Exactly, we programmed it. What I have noticed now that I've been fasting, it doesn't happen.
There you go.
So since I've been alternate day fasting, that I have my stomach has not been growling. So
Mhm.
like you are starting your body adjust to those things. You have to get past you got to get over the hump
That's
sometimes,
it. Got it.
especially with longer fasts. You got
Yes.
to get over that hump.
Yes.
But yeah, it is, and
I
yeah.
will say to and real quickly, I wanted to say what because I'm always talking to myself, and I agree with my completely. Like, it's the part that's easier is that it's just the foods that I used to be addicted to. It's it's not that I'm not that far away from just really having a pretty raw lifestyle. So,
Mhm.
but it's still, there's still like vegan cupcakes that are out there.
Yeah.
But what I say to myself is there are 365 days of the year. You
Mhm.
can't give yourself like 7, 10,
Mhm.
21, 30 days to just balance your body. Like,
Right.
come on now. It's just, come on. That's how I talk to myself. That's how I
Mhm.
get myself to do it. So,
Yeah. I do the same thing. I'm like, the 3-day fast I did at the end of last month,
mhm.
I was finding the third day, just trying to get through the third day. And I was just like, oh goodness. I was just like, okay, it's just this is your last day and tomorrow you get to eat. So you talk to yourself saying, these are just those 3 days that I'm going through, or how many days you choose to do it. It could be 7 or 10 days.
Mhm.
But it does what I do, like with alternate day fasting, what helps me is, and this is not going to be for everybody, but I start preparing what I'm going to eat the next day. So I'm crazy enough to go to the store and go walk around and be like, oh, this is going to be so good tomorrow, this salad.
Yes, that's great. That's good. I like that.
Yeah, so I start planning my meals for the next day, because it's exciting for me to break my fast the way I break it,
Mhm.
with nutrients, because you're breaking it with nutrients. So,
Yes.
I mean, it's think of it like that. Think of it. I think we approach things negatively, so we approach them positively instead of approaching it like this is a negative situation.
Right.
Approaching it
Yes.
in a positive way, like
Yes.
I get
Absolutely.
to detox my body. I get to cleanse my
Mhm.
body.
Mhm.
I get to regenerate my cells,
That's it.
um, and stuff like
That's
that. And speaking of that, I do want to go because we do have to end soon.
mhm.
Um, I want to look at this really quickly.
Mhm.
This autophagy, and this is what happens when you're fasting. So
Yes.
auto means self, and phagy means eat. So this literally means self eating. So
Yeah.
it literally means, it really, some people explain it as in your body eating itself. Like and that's kind of funny to think about. So it's the body's way of cleaning out damaged cells in order to regenerate newer, healthier cells.
Yes.
So the benefits: it removes debris and self-regulate back to optimum smooth function, promotes survival and adaptation as a response to various stressors and toxins
Yes.
accumulated in our cells, and is best known as the body's way of turning the clock back and creating younger cells.
That's
That's why when you see someone who's fasting, like Dr. Tammy here,
ah,
they they're turning back the clock. They're looking younger and fresher. You be like, wait a minute.
thank you.
Wait a minute. How old are you?
Thank you. Thank you.
And then at the cellular level, is removing toxic proteins from the cells that
Yes.
are attributed to neurodegenerative diseases such as Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease, recycling residual proteins,
Mhm.
providing energy and building blocks for cells that could still benefit from repair.
Mhm.
And on a larger scale, it prompts regeneration in healthy cells.
You see
And
that, Tracy? See that, Tracy?
that right. And so if that is not enough, you
Yes.
are also helping your liver,
Yes.
which your liver helps to digest your food, it stores energy, and your liver removes poisons. So if that's not enough, fasting just to help your liver out,
Yes.
fasting is very important. If that's all you're wanting to do is help your liver out, because the liver is extremely important.
Yes.
And so I'm gonna see. Oh, he said it was I. Thank you. It was him who brought up the ghrelin and the leptin. Thank you,
Yeah.
son.
It was crazy. Love it. I love it.
But yes, and let me see if there was anything else here.
Enya had a question, a good one about vital wheat gluten as a meat substitute right after
Oh, I didn't see that.
huh?
Let me see.
Is that in the private?
Oh, no. How do
Mhm.
you feel about vital wheat gluten as a meat substitute?
So so Enya, I am blood type O, and
Oh,
are
she's
you okay? So blood type O, we don't do well. Wheat is like putting bad gas in a car for us. It causes us to gain weight, and it causes some allergic reactions to some people, and it can also cause inflammation in the body. I am not a fan, which is why I had to stop eating many of the meat substitutes, because most of it is made with vital wheat gluten. Even my Ezekiel bread, it's sprouted.
Mhm,
So my thoughts are that it won't have the same effect. I have not, and I don't eat it a lot, but haven't experienced the bloating and things like that I have experienced with the vital wheat gluten. Um,
mhm,
so I don't encourage a lot of anything that has been processed.
mhm.
Keep it
Yeah, that's I stopped really buying meat substitutes because of that as well. I don't do wheat. I
Mhm.
do the Ezekiel bread. I buy the little English muffins,
Yeah.
Ezekiel bread, and sometimes I'll make like a little sandwich with it. But
Yes.
that's not something that I do every day.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-mm.
but yeah, I found that the sprouted Ezekiel bread
Mhm.
has not had the same effects.
Mhm.
Um, and I do sometimes I'll do the what's it called? The spelt oatmeal.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'll do that. I do that mate I don't even do that a lot.
And I
But
and I've even bought oatmeal without gluten. Did you know they
yeah,
do oatmeal
yeah.
without gluten? Yeah.
So I've told you before, I don't give my our youngest, I don't give him wheat at all.
Sure
And
did.
that's all we buy him. We buy him the gluten-free oatmeal because he
Oatmeal. I
yeah.
just found that like maybe a year ago. It's like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And I didn't know buckwheat wasn't actually wheat.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and so I do in order to make him pancakes, I'll do like those buckwheat
Mhm.
pancakes and stuff like that.
Yes.
So he can feel like he can have a little something something because he doesn't have any wheat at all. We don't give him any wheat.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm glad you asked that question. And if y'all have any more questions for next time, we are gonna wrap up here. Um and great conversation. Anything else that you want to add? I'm going to end with this quote in the name of Ramadan. um Elijah Muhammad said, eat one meal a day or one meal every other day and see how much better you will feel.
Yes. 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 I love it. I love it. I have those books.
Okay.
And I do have another book actually called Rational Fasting. That's sort
Oh,
of like,
okay.
this is a really good guide for water fast. But what I want to say is that we touched on this earlier before we came on camera.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue is now that people don't know what to do when they get sick. They don't, it's important to practice fasting. So if you do get sick, you know what to do. You're
Mm-hmm.
not fasting for the first time when you get sick. So just wanted to point that out.
Okay. That's a good point. Very good point.
Mhm.
And that is very important that we do learn how to prepare our bodies, because I think there's different levels of fasting for whatever you're going through.
Absolutely.
So, if you are a person that's dealing with a very, it's a disease and you've been told that you only have so many months to live, then that's going to be a different precaution than if you are just fasting for your health. Just
Absolutely.
the same.
And
And
in
so,
those cases, I encourage you to actually get under the care of a colonic hygienist,
mhm,
because when it's severe illness, you will need colonics and enemas
mhm.
to help along with the fast.
Right. So,
Mhm.
yeah, it's different. So we want to these conversations are about being ready to so
Yes.
that you don't have to go down
Get
the
ready.
road. So,
Yes.
like he said, stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Ready. I like that, Tracy. Yes.
So, yeah, so that's what these conversations are about. And how we need to make sure that we are properly educating ourselves about just our own body. And
Mhm.
so, just thinking about your next fast, like think
Mhm.
about how you want to do that. So I'm fasting today, an
Absolutely.
alternate day fast.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, is just like thinking about why you're doing it. And I think that's always the thing. Whatever you're doing, you're always thinking about the why, like, why am I doing this? And so really thinking about that. So the whole idea of this conversation is understanding that you do not have to be constantly consuming in order to thrive, in order to have energy, like they told us, in order to, and
Yeah.
honestly, the detrimental effects that happen because of that, happen because we're constantly putting food in our mouths.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
how that has created the addictions,
Absolutely.
the emotional triggers and things like that. So, but I am going to let Dr. Tammye go because I do know that she has to go. But
Yes.
we will
Yes.
have another conversation. And thank you all for being here, asking great questions, being
Yes.
kind. Love you all, and
Yes. And
we'll,
yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Tracy.
and we will see you next time. And till next time, peace.
Peace.